All right. So let's get to it. Today we're talking about mobile admin. We created mobile admin as a way to access last-minute changes to your guide in the moment. And mobile admin was actually inspired by you, our users. Here's a quote that we have from Emily at Brown University. She said, "You would probably be doing this if you could, but make administrative edits possible via the mobile app." Well, good idea, Emily. And we also have a comment here from Jeff. He said, "I run a music festival and stuff gets changed a lot midday." That sounds familiar. "Would be nice if I could make small changes to the events right from my phone." Well, Jeff, I'm happy to say that you are now able to do just that. And to give you a little bit more detail about what exactly it is that mobile admin does, I want to kick it over to Aaron. Aaron.
Yeah, so mobile admin really has three key features. So we took everything that we thought was really important and timely that you might need to do at your event and put that into the features. So the first thing that you can do is you can send important updates, push messages or inbox messages to your attendees instantly through the app. And the second thing you can do is you can also edit your schedule right from the app as well. So when an unavoidable change arises, you can quickly fix that right within the app. And the last thing that you can do is you can quickly search support questions in our support website right in the mobile app. You can also easily contact Jacob's award-winning support team. So if for some reason you're unable to get your answer through our support site, you can go ahead and give them a call right within the app and have all the information you need to speak with them about your guide handy and right in front of you.
Excellent. And I'm already seeing some people excited about this and asking how to access it. We're going to get to that a little later in the presentation, but I think one of the excellent and exciting things about mobile admin is that you don't have to download a separate app. It's already right there in the guide, right, Aaron?
Yes, that's correct. So as long as you're within your guide and you're logged in, you can access that feature.
Cool. We'll get to more details about how to access mobile admin a little bit later. But first, Aaron, I would love for you to talk to us about the thought process that your team goes through when it comes to introducing a new feature like this. Why is mobile admin important, and what were we thinking and what were we hearing from our customers that are going to be the benefits of this particular feature?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you hit on this in my introduction, but one of my favorite parts of my job is being able to speak to a ton of customers all around the world and hear how they're using Guidebook and how they could potentially use it better. And I think you said it pretty well with those two quotes. Quite a few people had mentioned that they want to be able to edit their guide on the go. Event planners, orientation directors, and even enterprise employees, they're all super busy when they're at an event, and they need to be able to not be carrying around their laptop. And so that's really how mobile admin came about. If you are an event planner and you're at your event, and for some reason you have a logistical error and you need to have a room change, you can now do that instantly via mobile admin. You don't have to go back to your laptop or have that IT guy on the line ready to change something. Similarly, if you're an orientation director or you work in career services and you want to quickly send out a survey or make sure that people fill out your assessment, you can do that quickly through mobile admin and again on the go. And think similarly with enterprise clients as well. If you have a sales kickoff or a user conference, there's quite a few great ways to use these features. So that's really kind of how we came up with the features, trying to solve this problem of immediacy with communicating with your users, and also being able to perform core Guidebook functions, but on the go.
Excellent. So I love the idea that we were looking for a way to sort of untether people from their computer, because it's very rare, I think, that while you are in the heat of the moment and you're at the event or you're at this, the function where you're actually physically, people are using your guide, where you're the one that's going to be sitting at the computer ready to make changes if something comes up or, if something needs to happen immediately. So I think I know that I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So I'm glad that it's finally rolling out here. Aaron, so you talked about the fact that mobile admin sort of covers two basic functions at the moment, and we're going to continue to make mobile admin better and better as we go, just like we do all of our products. But today, mobile admin really covers two main functions. So the ability to edit your schedule and the ability to send and schedule push notifications right from your phone. I want to talk a little bit about schedules and about push notifications and take a little bit of a deeper dive here today to see, are we making the best of our schedules and our push notifications? And now that we have the ability to interact with these features at our fingertips, what are some of the best practices for these? So let's talk first about push notifications. Aaron, if you could sort of walk me through push notifications, what are the various types of notifications that people can send, and why do people send push notifications?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's actually two different types of messages that you can send within Guidebook. So one is going to be inbox messages. And those are a little bit less intrusive. They're more of a passive message. Those messages, you'll see a notification when you open your app, but they won't actually populate to your home screen. So, if you want to send out a message pre-conference or something that people will see right when they arrive into the app, that's a great use case for that. And then the other type of message that you have displayed up here is a push notification. So that's a notification to your home screen, and that's going to be a little bit more direct and grab people's attention. So those can be, more immediate concerns or changes that you want to get out. One thing I wanted to mention is, the great thing about mobile admin is previously planners and, education professionals had to plan out all the different push notifications that they wanted or messages that they wanted to send throughout an event. And the reason was because they didn't carry their laptops around with them. So they were really kind of planned and scheduled for specific times. Now with mobile admin, they're able to kind of do that on the go. So, imagine that you are at a kind of closing reception and people are eating dinner, but, they're being asked to fill out a survey through the app. But as the event organizer, you're watching them and you can tell that they're not actually going to fill out the survey right now because they're busy. You could go ahead and pull out your phone and schedule a push notification to go out in about 30 minutes when they're finished to remind them, hey, please fill out the survey because this was something that we just asked you to do, but you probably forgot about it because you were doing something else. So it's a great way now. Yeah.
I was just going to add to that, Aaron. I feel like one of the things that that I think of when I think of live events or I think of any sort of workflow is the importance of improvisation and being able to jump in at any moment and change the flow or direct people's attention to a certain thing. And to me, push notifications are a very personal way of directing people's attention and also getting them to do the thing that you want them to do, right? Because it shows up right on their home screen. It's pretty much unavoidable information.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we also have a fact, push notification click-through rates are somewhere in the 40% range. So that's almost double interaction of an email or email open rates. And I think a lot of times these push notifications that you send actually don't have any reason to be open, but rather it's a message that you need people to read. So another example could be a room change. And people don't actually have to do anything, but you want to make sure that they're aware that your reception is going to be in a different location because of weather or some logistical error. So I think that's really important to note as well, that they have really high interaction rates, and they also, a lot of people are going to see them. So it's one of the best ways to grab people's attention and make sure that they're hearing about the change or the update that you're trying to get out there.
Totally. I think that push notifications, for people who have used push notifications or an app has become a central part of their workflow, it is now a part of their communication strategy, and they've seen the benefits of that, and I think this is going to really work well for them. Jacob, I want to toss it over to you for a question real quick. As someone who is very well versed in the art of building guides on Guidebook, can you just maybe walk us through some best practices when using push notifications?
Yeah, sure, Jordan. That's a great question here. And actually, I think to kind of kick this off, I actually want to take it one step back and talk a little bit about even the decision to use a push notification versus kind of an inbox message to begin with. Usually, we really have the end user in mind. We want to make sure that when we send messages that they're being well received and that we're not spamming our users with just too many notifications. And so to kind of begin with, Guidebook does limit you to about 15 notifications per event, and this is really just with the end user in mind. If you imagine, you're at your event or you're at your university, you're trying to take advantage of this beautiful guide that's been built out, and if you're constantly getting all these different messages, it may kind of distract you from your overall purpose of what you're doing there. And often we've seen that users, if too many notifications are sent out, that they'll actually turn off the notification feature in general, and they'll kind of disengage with the app. So it's very important to make sure that we're sending push notifications really at the most critical updates. So these types of things include major room changes, if there's inclement weather that Aaron mentioned, really just the crucial updates. But with kind of another feature that rolled out relatively recently with our Interact feed, what you can really get with kind of this inbox notification, so not a push, is that when you send one of these less invasive messages, people will actually be able to see this on the actual Interact feed as well. So we're seeing really solid click-throughs on normal messages as well. And just a few other quick notes there in terms of that. We also see really great usage when people send kind of inbox messages even before the app gets downloaded. What this creates for the user is that when they download the guide, they'll actually see a message in there already. It's kind of a great way to inform people about how to best take advantage of the different features of the app, and really a nice way to welcome in there. And it's also a really good tip to use very active language when you send a message. You may know, people will see this message very briefly, and so you want to inspire them to do something, whether that's filling out a survey, whether that's visiting a sponsored booth, or things along those lines. So being very call to action oriented is a big plus. And along with that, I think it's also prudent to be kind of word conservative. You don't want to send a really long message that's going to take a lot of people to read through. If you can kind of put yourself in the eyes of the end user there, it's way easier to kind of engage with something that's snappy, to the point, and concise. So that's I think those are some pretty good tips there regarding the push notifications.
Yeah, Jacob, that's great. And actually, a lot of people here seem to have questions about the number of push notifications that you can send during an event. And Guidebook limits that to 15 per the lifetime of the guide, which in a lot of times, translates to the life of an event. Jacob, the number, you kind of mentioned that the reason there are 15 push notifications is that we find that push notifications tend to be more effective when they're used sparingly, but if someone has a particularly long event or their audience is primed to know that these push notifications are coming, is there anything that we can do to work with them on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely understand that not every guide is going to have the same duration or sort of the exact same use case, and certainly if there are going to be even some events that may be more likely to have critical updates that need to come out. And so certainly what I would recommend to people who are worried that 15 may not be enough, for one, just send an email into support@guidebook.com. We'll be more than happy to discuss kind of your use case and make sure that if there are important things you need to send out, that you have the tools necessary. So yeah, support@guidebook.com will be the savior in that sense.
Awesome. And I think that just a general tip here for everyone on this call today, emailing support@guidebook.com is a good answer for most things that you may have questions about. We have a very responsive support team, and people tend to find that they get whatever answers they're looking for whenever they contact them. All right, so that's push notifications. I want to move now on and talk about schedules. And to me, schedules are oftentimes the heart of a guide or an app. Aaron, if you could sort of talk about this component and how are schedules used? What are some of the major features that people are looking for when they're building their schedules and that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about, push notifications are all about urgency, and that's why they were included as a feature in Mobile Admin. Schedules were included because, just like you said, Jordan, schedules are our most used feature in a guide and kind of exactly the heart of the guide for users. And there's a number of different ways you can use schedules, and I'm sure a lot of people on this webinar are pretty familiar with them. But just to mention a few, you can use tracks to kind of segment different types of events for groups of people. You can also use the My Schedule feature. So as an end user, you're able to add things before an event or during an event to your specific schedule. And this kind of filters out what you care about seeing versus everything that's going on in the event. And our goal here is that each person at an orientation or an event will have the highest possible return for their time, right? They'll know that they're going to the things that they care the most about. And they can even set reminders to let them know when those things are happening. Having the ability. Sorry.
Go ahead and finish your thought there, Aaron.
I was going to say having the ability to quickly change and edit these sessions or add things to them is crucial for people who are building guides so that they're always up to date, because your attendees rely on them, and in many cases that is kind of their guide to the whole event.
Yeah, when I think about the evolution of Guidebook, I think the schedule is one of the things that has seen, although maybe not the most flashy or prominent changes over the years, a lot of changes, and it continues to get more and more feature-rich as we go. I mean, even just the version of the schedule that we're looking at right now on the screen, you can see that it's very clear what tracks things are in. It's very clear how to switch between the schedule and your own personal schedule, and you can even filter out by track as well. One of the things that we also have, I think striven to bring to Guidebook over the past couple years is, making the schedules as highly customizable as possible. And one of the things that we have introduced recently is this idea of preset schedules. So being able to assign an individual schedule to an individual attendee. Jacob, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about preset schedules and maybe how people are using those and some things to think about when we're thinking about assigning a schedule to an attendee.
Sure, absolutely, George. So preset schedules are actually one of my favorite features in Guidebook. I mean, anything that gives people more control about how users are going to engage is a huge win, whether that's for controlling things at your university, at different meetings, or just for any type of event use case. And so we've seen some really inventive and creative use cases already for preset schedules. But the basic gist is that, as you said, you can through our backend system in Builder, you can actually assign attendees to kind of these specific sessions before they even get on site. And so what we've seen, sort of just to give one example here, is that you can really drive up excitement about using the app before you get there. When you assign an attendee to a particular session, they get an email about that, and they get instructions about how they can go view their particular schedule. And that's a really terrific way to drive even just attention to the actual app that you're putting a lot of hard work into. And so we've seen that by using preset schedules, you can actually really increase your adoption and engagement even months or weeks before people even arrive on site. But even some other kind of creative ways to leverage preset schedules are for kind of these secret sessions. Often there are varying levels of attendee at your conference, at your meeting, you name it. And you may not want every session to be visible or attended by everyone who's actually there. And so with preset schedules, you can actually assign kind of these hidden sessions to users who should be in the know, and the other ones will be none the wiser. And so that's kind of another cool use case. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention anything about sort of sponsors here. I know sponsors often kind of run the world, and so what we've seen is that that's kind of